I just put some pictures there. Look at the excavation, recent excavations as well. You see that?
Yeah, it's
amazing.
Again, archaeology like this is great for just
but look at something,
people.
Bede. Look what our colleagues do that there in Spain. Look how much they love. Do you see what they do? They protect it.
To protect the site. Yeah, I think this is a great idea. It's much more common now because once upon a time only scholars and academics were interested in archaeology, and then I think in the 20s, thanks to things like Tutankhamun's tomb and things like that, the general public is now interested.
Yeah,
and the general public can do a lot of good.
Yeah,
in supporting these kinds of museums and
yes,
particularly places like this where you actually excavate a village or a town and cover it up, and then people can, you can just do what you're doing here, showing your photographs and letting people know what it looks like. Then people can go and look up books about it and papers and whatever. Every now and then I see a paper about the Canary Islands, particularly genetic ones, because people are very interested in the original people there.
Yes, absolutely.
But you don't see anything of this scale. Maybe it's just where I look for things. I'm not looking in the right places, but I haven't seen anything about,
No, not like that. And our colleagues, because I also talked to them, so I could go through their route because not all of them are open to the public, so they let me go there. So that's why I think that makes these pictures also unique, right? I think so.
Yeah. Well, to me, this is all new.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that there was culture there. I knew that there were quite a population there, and I also knew they were really tough. And they were no walkover. I mean, you could imagine if you're living in a society with maybe no or limited metalwork, and then people turn up in mail with, European
it's
swords.
Good that you mentioned that. Okay, let's say Aztecs had, as my colleague said, they had cotton armor, multi-layered, and so these guys who put resistance, we are going to see their weapons. They killed so many Spanish in armor or half armor with steel. So guys, look, it not always depends on the weapon you carry. It also depends on the heart, right? So
it's easy to get carried away with the wonders of a technology and forget that it's how determined people are that makes a difference. Not to indirectly quote Chairman Mao.
And Canary Islands is a true example. How many years they needed to subjugate the islands, in spite of this technology. But we are going to see that, Bede. It's very interesting. So you see, it's a whole town they excavated. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it looks pretty well built. I mean, seriously, well organized too.
Yes.
So stone-based buildings and all this kind of stuff. Yes. So they weren't particularly primitive.
No.
They seem to be quite advanced, actually.
Exactly. We are going to see more and more of them later. No, I just put as many pictures because I have hundreds of pictures there, Bede.
Oh, yeah. You go to places like this and it's hard to stop taking pictures.
Yes. So look at this, Bede. Look at the structure.
So what is this? Yeah, there's holes drilled into the ground, and
I think they
are they from post holes or?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, right. So these are storage pits.
Yes, storage.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's another thing. So they were farming, they were fishing, they were doing all the good stuff.
Yes. Look at this. Unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
magnificent, Pete. So
Yeah.
you
This.
see, for example, you look at this, they excavated. They took them years to excavate. It's so huge, this area, Pete. It's really huge.
Yeah.
It's really huge, right?
It is actually quite remarkable. And again, this is all without anybody knowing it was there until
Yeah.
the well, obviously, people in Morocco knew it was there, but and they communicated that across the rest of the world. But certainly, this is a an independent culture.
Yeah, it is definitely. Look
I
at
mean, it may have links to North Africa, but it's entirely independent because this is not like any kind of construction you would see in North Africa.
no, no, it's completely different. So this site contains remains of ancient areas, dwellings, a variety of artifacts they had, and these pots, ceramic pots, painted fragments. Collection also includes ceramics made used pottery wheel, imported from the mainland. They found also, listen, coins. They found swords. They found, these guys found the Spanish swords. They kept them, right? Then
Oh,
horses,
right. Well, yeah.
yes,
Well,
nails.
metal's valuable.
Yes, every day. I mean, we're going to see them. It's so fascinating, right? But they were
Yeah.
no, okay. They were some of them materials. You can see that here. They put them here also so that visitors can see. You see that?
Mm.
But we can go
Yeah.
here. That's one of the dwellings. This is the way it looked like, right?
Mm.
So you look, and inside it should have looked like that. So they rebuilt it so that you can have a look how they lived inside. Quite
Mm.
comfortable, isn't it?
Oh, it looks good.
Yes, and they
I'm,
have
I'm,
lots of
I'm
goats there. There are lots of
oh,
goats.
that's what I was trying to work out. What kind of skins were they?
Yeah, they have
Goats.
lots of, and they are so beautiful on all Canary Islands. They have also make cheese. You know, uh,
Ah,
Beautiful. I think one of the best ones I have ever had. And I'm not the only one who says that. My wife is French, and she says cheese from that island is better than French ones, and it means a lot, right? As a French person.
well, sometimes it's what the animal eats flavors the cheese
Yeah.
as well,
My
and
wife says
also
better
how
than
you
French
prepare it.
cheese. Yeah, you can imagine.
Yeah, well, goat's cheese is particularly nice. I'm a big fan of all the varieties of goat's cheese.
Yes. So you see that's the way they lived. And
Hmm.
okay, and then they came here. You see that, okay, they painted it. Okay, they tried to, they tried to do some of the paintings. They do it so people look and okay, these are, the fish, of course. They also had fish, cereals, that farming. Look at this.
So it was a really well developed economy in terms of food, supplies,
Yes,
building.
yes,
It's amazing to think that they were kind of like way off the coast of Africa and
yeah,
just developing all this stuff. Every now and then somebody might have come over and said, "Oh, look, we found a new way of making pots or something." But it's not; they're not embedded in the
no,
culture of Africa or Spain
yes.
until they're conquered.
Look. For example, they have structures like that as well. They have different structures. You see that, like roundish ones. You see,
Yeah,
it's
what were they?
amazing.
Do we know what they were used for? Or
No,
are they?
no. Some
Well,
of the
I'll find out.
structures they don't know what they meant for, but they're working on them. This is
So I'm
city.
wondering if they think that they were for things like drying fish and stuff like that
Exactly.
because they've
That's what
got
they.
fish there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would make sense because dried fish is a very good source of protein, and once it's dried, it lasts for almost ever.
Does it?
If you
I just wanted to ask you, how long does a dried fish last?
Oh, a long time. Remember that in Spain and northern Italy, in the Spanish and various other people were cod fishing in the Atlantic. Then they would dry the cod, and that would be sold in Italy and other countries, and then they'd rehydrate it and make various dishes. There are famous dishes made from rehydrated cod.
But I mean, you
And
can keep it like for how long? You don't get food poisoning, do you? No.
no, it's like wood. I mean, you can buy it in Sydney. I think it lasts for years and years. I don't think.
I'll
I
have
mean,
to try
this
it. I've
is.
never tried it. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, yeah. I'll look up the names for some of the dishes. It's very famous in Italy because my Italian friends know how to cook it. You go to restaurants and you can get dishes that are based on what's originally dried cod. I've seen it in shops. It looks like pieces of wood. I
Mm.
mean, the little fish, the little dried fish. Well, there's lots of things you can do with that. Um, Anchovies and things like that were traditionally fermented to make sauces. Um, English Worcestershire sauce is a fermented anchovy sauce. The Romans had fermented anchovy sauces as well.
Mm.
So it's an ancient thing. And if you've got a lot of fish and you've got the knowledge, then you can put away food. I mean, in parts of I've read this. I don't know how accurate it is. In parts of Arabia, where there wasn't enough grass to feed their horses, they used to grind up dried fish and put it in with whatever they had. And the
And the
horses were
horse
therefore
eat
getting,
it?
yeah, because it's a lot of protein. And
Funny.
apparently, this is proper Arab horses. And I'm trying to think if it was somebody like Ibn Battuta, the famous North African traveler, reported on this. I've got a
Pete,
copy of his work
you're right.
somewhere.
I think they used it, they're indicating that for drying, right? Also
Yeah,
vegetables. But look at this. This is like a divided area. Do you see that, Pete?
yeah.
Very interesting. So here
Yeah, this place seems to be,
you see the
absolutely.
whole
Look,
economy. You see the whole
yeah,
city, Pete, you know?
yeah. It seems to be actually very developed in those senses. I
Yeah.
mean, if you've got farmland, but I mean, the population may have been a lot higher than we'd think, because usually when there's fierce resistance to invaders, there's a lot of people living there.
Yeah.
And I mean, the perfect example is Papua New Guinea. There were so many people living there that they had kept their culture for 40 or 50,000 years because nobody could push their way in.
You know, when they went in Tenerife in one of the military encounters, so the Spanish, they say, went with a big smile with guns, horses, armor,
Mm.
Toledo steel and thing. Then when they came back, like 10% came back, injured, crying guys. And then, look, that's the
Yeah, well,
resistance they put.
I mean, it's a particular thing about agricultural populations. They
Yeah.
usually have higher numbers and they're much more resistant. The Spanish, in a way, were lucky, and the Mexicans were unlucky that most of the Americas had no resistance to European diseases.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that the Europe had gone through the Black Death,
Yeah.
which had depopulated it. So the only people left alive were resistant to all kinds of diseases. It
Yes.
wasn't like they had the medicines to cure anything. It was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that the only people left alive were immune.
Yes.
And so these people must have been very
Yes.
tough.
Yes. And in this area, when you go through that, first you go to the city. I mean, there are some restricted areas, but if you work with them, with colleagues, they know you're a colleague, they let you go to restricted areas as well. But then in this Pintada, painted cave, they have also a museum of the artifacts they found there. You see that there are some, and this is this Cueva Pintada. So you
All
go there,
right.
this is it, yeah. And this is
So,
protected. So you cannot get close to it. It's behind a protective glass.
oh, yeah, because, well, yeah,
Yeah.
everything can go wrong.
Yes.
It's people's breath is what destroyed a lot of paintings in ancient Egypt, from ancient Egypt in
Yes.
modern times. People would visit tombs and that, and the moisture in their breath would start to
Yes.
cause things to fall
Okay.
apart. That looks to me almost like the same kind of designs you would find on textiles.
Yes.
So
Yes.
and it's quite unique. But if somebody was making textiles with patterns like that, I think they'd sell very well today
Yes, it
because
does.
it's very decorative.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. Uh, so you see that? Oh, sorry. Also, again, ceramics, right? Different things. Oh, yeah. Very beautiful.
Yeah, it seems so very artistic people.
Yeah, very. You see that? And they
So
collected.
polished.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at the polished seashell where they've polished off the outer layer just to show that kind of
I don't know why they collected
nacreous.
that. I don't know why they
Yeah.
collected this. They have many of
Well, in
them.
in a lot of cultures, certain types of seashells, like cowrie shells, were used for money.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Um, plus the fact that a lot of people like seashells because they're beautiful.
They're really beautiful. Look at this one, Beat. This one is so
Yeah,
beautiful.
that one's been polished by an expert.
Yeah,
Take because the outer color would be all different colors, but if you polish it right back,
yeah.
then you get this underlayer, which is the structural layer. But it's beautiful. It's like mother of pearl. That's
It
not
is
mother of pearl, but it's very similar to it.
similar.
I'm thinking somewhere around my house, I have a nautilus shell with the
Yes.
patterns and things on it, and but I've seen ones in say mounted in Renaissance silver and gold mounts where they polish that to that color
Yeah.
and it absolutely glows.
Yes. Take a look at this. Again, two of them of these polished ones, right?
Yeah, yeah, you could see. I mean, they're very pretty. You could put them.
And now,
Oh, so they also did. Oh, this is nice, isn't it?
yeah,
So
this
this
is
this
typical. This is typical of Canary Islands, right? All these
hmm,
figures they have, and all islands have their own.
yeah. But what reminds me is this use of triangles, very similar to the paintings on the wall of the cave.
Yes.
And it seems like that's probably got more symbolic value to them than to us. To us, it just looks good,
Yes.
but
Look
possibly
look
there's
at
all
this.
kinds of
Let
meanings
me just
behind it.
see. Let me just see where I put that one bit. If I can find something about that here. I'm not so sure if I did, but I can take a look at this. They are, yeah, they are very ups. Hold on. Horseshoes. No, I don't have that here. But doesn't matter. We will
Hmm.
find about them. And very beautiful, yes. And nowadays on Canary Islands, Beat, they use these figures to decorate bags, to decorate. They have their own knife,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Canary Island knife, the scabbard of Canary
yeah.
Island knives, and they use them. Uh,
So yeah, so the
yeah,
the ideas survive even if the
yes.
the whole of the culture didn't. But this is really interesting.
Look, Beat.
It's intricate. It's very geometrical, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Even
and you
there are studies on them. Our Spanish colleagues have written books on them because they try to classify them. It's a whole area of study of Guanche culture based on this.
yeah.
Interesting,
I
huh?
must admit, I've not seen any of this before, and it's really fascinating.
It
Uh, this is the whole problem. The world's full of interesting places, and there's only so
yes,
much only so much you stumble across, or if you've got
yes,
friends that have been there and tell you about it.
yes.
But this is really
Look at
nice.
this, man. That's so different colors, different sizes. Some of them are that
So
small, some of them are
that
bigger.
they look like they're some kind of stamps for making
Exactly.
impressions in clay, for
Yeah.
when you're making pottery or something like that. They look
Yes.
very. I know they're beautiful, but they look very industrial, don't they?
Yeah. Very. And now these idols and also all
Hold
these
on.
deities they have.
So
You
you
know,
don't think they're little clay emojis because that's what they look like. They've got
and
these very
look at the
happy faces.
navel. Look at the navel of
Yeah,
this. Interesting, right?
it's happy fat babies.
Yes, exactly. They have that as well. There's very beautiful. Look at this. Also, they have very interesting items there.
Yeah, this to
Mhm.
me is again it has echoes of the Neolithic,
Yeah.
but it's totally its own ideas. It's totally its own development of it. But we could imagine um, Neolithic people making things like this because there are similar but not the same things from the
Yes.
European and Middle Eastern Neolithic.
Yes.
Obviously, um, what's happened is either they develop the same ideas because they're just universal human ideas, or there are traces of very old traditions that have survived from the time the islands were first colonized by the native inhabitants.
Now I
Um,
remember. Now I remember what they're called, Pete. These things are called pintadera. These like seals, pintadera in Spanish.
uh-huh,
Pintadera, and I remember that. Excuse me, yes. And
yeah.
Pete, just for our viewers, guys, these are excavated items, huh? These are not something sold in auction houses. They are traceable, excavated items. You
So
know?
you can, yeah, you can
Yeah.
say this was found in this place at this time.
Yeah.
And in many cases, I mean, you can't carbon date clay, but you can carbon date ash around it,
Yes.
and bits of wood and stuff around it.
Yes.
There is techniques for fluorescence techniques that are used on clay artifacts that can give you dates. But I mean, the whole of archaeology was originally built on broken pieces of pottery. That's how everything was arranged into stratigraphies. But
look at these beads.
This is interesting because again, the kind of geometrical thing. It's like they're depicting a pattern textile wrapped around somebody's waist.
Yeah, this one you mean, right? This one.
The one on the right, yeah.
I think the upper body is broken, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
The other one looks like, well, it could have been a warrior holding weapons, or it could have been someone dancing.
And this one is not only missing its legs and two arms, but missing the vital part as well.
Well, yeah, things get broken.
Yeah. Just excuse me, just wanted to mention, I think.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I mentioned it, because most of them are female, but not all. There are also male. Yeah. That's the reason I mentioned it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of Greco-Roman statues that are broken in the same place.
Yes. So you see that also, I don't know, what are they? Are they like for fishing instruments, or what is this? I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know. Well, the bone ones on the left could be just tools, because you could do a lot of, I mean, bone's a good tool material.
Mm-hmm.
The basket towards the center would be
this one,
fishing net. It's fairly open weave.
Yes, I think so. That's the way.
I've seen fishing nets made by people that are still making all their own stuff from scratch. That you see this in Australia. The first people here were big into fishing.
Yes.
It was an important thing because, I mean, despite the fact, say in Australia, you have the central desert areas, but the largest part of the population live around the coast, so they spend a lot of time fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, lots of really quite sophisticated geometric patterns.
This pintadera, yes, really unbelievable. Look at this bead. Some of them, I mean, unfortunately, they don't know because they didn't leave any any writings. But it's interesting, because they should have a significance. Look at this.
Yeah. You'd think that these are See, there's so many things they could be without knowing what they really are. So the individual patterns might represent individual clans or those kingdoms on the islands.
Yeah.
Or they might have religious purposes, or they may be aids to storytelling. It's just so many possibilities. This is what's so terrible about when cultures are totally destroyed. We've got evidence, but we don't know what it all means. And even when there's writing and people reporting on it, it's still difficult once the culture is destroyed to really get a hold of it.
Yes. So
these are
metal objects collected, maybe through interaction, or I don't know, not only interaction and trade. It could be that they just took them, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but things like needles and thimbles and things like that were often used as trade items because they were things people understood how to use, but metal ones were shiny and sometimes work better because, I mean, you can make a much thinner metal needle than you can.
This was also excavated, is a sword blade, which is, of course, as we know, sword blades, when they lie underground after a while, they look like that, right? They just start to swallow.
Accumulated accretions of rust and all kinds of things.
Yes, this is what they had it. They don't know what they used this sword blade for, but there was a sword blade. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
but all these metal implements would have had symbolic meaning. Either we captured them, this is a proof of how good a warrior we are. Things like nails and that, it would only be a matter of time before they worked out how to reforge them into tools.
Yes.
I mean, that happened all over the world where non-metal using cultures had metal introduced, it didn't take them long to work out what to do with it.
Pete, look at these knife blades, and then they have
Yeah,
also horseshoe. Do you see that?
yeah. And I think above the knife blades is the shape of a scabbard.
Oh, that's
Could
right.
be.
That's the shape of the scabbard. You're right. Of the sword,
Yeah,
you mean, right? Yeah, exactly.
yeah, off the sword scabbard. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's
but
right.
you could understand these things would be interesting to people
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you suddenly see something that's made out of a material you're just not familiar with.
yeah.
Clearly, it has a purpose. I mean,
I think they're needles,
imagine.
aren't they? They're needles.
I think they're nails.
Oh, they're
See how they're
nails.
flat?
It can't be
Yeah,
so speak needles. They're
yeah. And
nails.
one looks like somebody's turned a nail into a fishhook.
Ah, that one. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They're
So
nails. They're bigger.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
People see metal for the first time and they immediately work
What
out
is
things you can do with
this?
it.
What is this?
That looks like a big spike or a chisel.
It's a chisel.
Um,
You're right.
it could be a chisel.
It's a chisel. Yeah.
And if it was, this would be a thing if you were given that or you traded it for a couple of goats or whatever. Immediately, if you do woodworking, a chisel is immediately a thing you know what to do with. Now, chiseling is much faster than scraping. you can you can get a lot more work
You
done.
see our colleagues there put them in a protected area.
Yeah, this is really good. See, this seems to be very well organized and
Very.
obviously well financed as well, because it's expensive to have museums like this.
You know, when
All of the fittings.
I have to say that to you, but I hope our colleagues on Mallorca are not going to be upset when I say that. I'm not saying the Mallorca and the Balearic Islands, the museums are bad. We can talk about them because I have also tons of pictures from there.
Oh
But
yeah, no, that'd be interesting too.
compared how Mallorca museums are kept and these guys are kept, they said they have finance and money here on Canary Islands.
Yeah, well, I suppose that if they attract rich people because they're beautiful, and then there's money that
Yeah.
can, for the people who want to promote the culture, they can go to people and say, yeah, look, donate to this museum and you'll be remembered for forever.
Yes, yes.
I
You can
mean,
tell if a
there's,
museum has money and budget or if it doesn't. We all know that beat, right?
yeah,
We all know.
it's really hard because, there's so many things to study
Yeah,
and only so much money that governments and people are prepared to give to it. So there's competition for the money.
yeah, it
But
is.
when you do something like this, people look at you and say, right, you know what you're doing. I think you get the more professional the museum presents itself as, the more money they can raise to do things.
Yes,
I
yes,
mean, museums in Australia are wonderful places to go to, not
yes,
just for local things, because obviously, because of the large European population in Australia, there's a lot of European stuff and Asian stuff and things like that. But it's having good museums helps people find out about their own culture and the rest of the world.
yes.
I mean, a lot of people don't have time to do courses on things, but you can walk into a museum and just see the things there. And
Yes.
if they've got good captions and stuff like that, it's you can self-educate to quite a high degree.
Pete, a better close-up picture of these items.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I'd say we do have a nail turned into a fishhook here. It could have been a nail that was hammered in and bent over into holding planks together, and then somebody, when the planks rotted away, said, "Oh, I can use this as a fishhook." I mean, yeah, and they work perfectly good. If when you're living on islands, fishing is important.
When
And
we went there, and and my wife was so fascinated, my kids as well. And then we went there, and at the end, I was taking pictures, and my wife said, "I can't believe it. Everywhere we go, there is a sword blade." I said, "This is not my fault. What should I do? They have a sword blade here, and they have one."
yeah, well, I mean, this is it. Sword blades stick out, and people are interested. Swords are inherently interesting things.
Yes, they are.
Um, you don't have to want to kill people to like a
Oh,
sword.
no.
And I mean, this is the problem with weapons is that they have two different ways of being appreciated. You can say, oh, well, we can equip our army with this and go off and conquer that place. Or you can say, wow, this is a work of art. I mean, remember when we were looking at some of the things in the Hermitage in St. Petersburg?
Yeah.
They were works of art. This
Yeah,
is,
they
they
are
might have been really efficient weapons, but they were absolutely stunning works of art.
stunning, stunning, absolutely.
I'm not saying
Oh,
this one is, but
sorry.
still. But see, baskets for fishing or baskets in general,
That's
ordinary
interesting.
people sitting in their houses making these things,
Yeah,
and they're all really attractive.
very, very attractive. Look at this.
Oh, these are the bone tools on the
Yeah,
right here. Yeah,
exactly. Now I have a better picture of the tools on the right. Yeah.
yeah. So these could be actual tools in themselves for poking holes and things. The one in the middle, I'm thinking of, or they can be the leftover bits after you've carved off pieces to make needles or toggles or all of the other things you can do with bone.
Yeah.
The pottery, some of that. Uh, See those pots with the ears, kind of thing, with the holes.
Yeah.
Now they've shown them as being used for hanging
Yeah.
the pots off the ground, which is a good way of stopping insects stealing your grain.
Oh, yeah.
The big conical one in the middle that looks vaguely like a Riton
Yeah.
for pouring
Yeah. It
drinks,
does.
or maybe a beaker. It might be one of those drinking games where you've got to finish the drink. You can't put it down because it falls over. They're not unknown in the world. Um,
Very nice.
and the green glaze on the inside of the pottery
Yeah.
piece on the right also shows that
Beautiful.
the techniques were fairly highly advanced. I mean, the pottery isn't um, high art pottery, but it's pretty practical and
Yeah.
clearly shows that they knew how to make lots of different forms. I mean,
Yeah.
there really are a lot of different forms.
Yeah. A
And
lot.
pots with spouts so that you could hang them up and then pour things into mugs and drink. And
Yeah. So
this
exactly.
is
That's
all,
a spout. Yeah. Right. I didn't see that. This one, you
yeah.
mean, right? Oh, sorry. Where was that? Huh? This one.
Next one, yeah, it's got a spout.
Yeah. It does. It does.
I'm not sure, but the one in the top right hand, not all the way to the right, but in the top right hand, it looks like it's got an upturned spout made as part of one of the handles.
This one,
I'm
right?
not,
This one.
yeah, I'm not sure if that's hollow or not. It might have been for fitting a lid on or something like that. But
Very nice.
and then you've got at the pan at the bottom right, which appears to have patterns all over the inside surface of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are, oh, they're quite, well,
Then
they're
we go
interesting. Let's
to
put it this
Canary Museum, and now
way.
the Canary Museum has 200 pintaderas, those things like seals.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And look, Pete, we can make another video on that because I have hundreds of pictures of them. But so
Mm,
I just put them here. Look at this. This is this famous Idolo de Tara. It's
hmm.
extremely famous, right?
Yeah.
Figure for okay, this is like 26 centimeters in height, 20 centimeters width, and 10 centimeters in depth. So it's very famous. It's extremely famous. It's a symbol of the island, actually.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's got a whole artistic style of its own. The way they round out the arms and the legs and things like
Yes.
that is.
And another one is this one, is also another symbol. So they had different deities, right? And
Mm.
of course, we have that as well. I mean, let's see if I can fade. Oops, sorry. Yeah, this one. Yeah, you see that? And also different uh, skeletons and also dead people there. You can see it here. Look at this bit.
So
This is not
he's,
mummy. Okay, but before we go ahead, they did not mummify on Canary Island, only on Tenerife. But we will see the mummies there later. Okay. These are real guys, huh?
yeah.
They have
Well, I
a-
mean, the thing is, sometimes if they're not in museums, then they get broken up by plows and things, and nobody ever knows these people existed.
yes.
Whereas there's arguments about displaying bodies in museums, uh, and sometimes you've got to remind people that they were real people. That's a wheel.
Yeah, you see, yeah. And then different. Look at this. Museo Canario has lots of them. Look at this beat.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety in the pottery. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously they're for different purposes. One thing there looked like a quern, a circular quern for grinding flour. Um,
yeah. They have
but
lots of them.
there is a lot of variation in the pottery.
Yes. Okay, before we go ahead, Casa de Colon, as I said to you, Casa de Colon, there are European items.
Yeah,
The first floor, okay, American first floor. The British say ground floor, right? And
yeah.
then
Well, we say
second
ground floor
floor.
in Australia too.
Oh, you say in Australia too. Okay, so for Americans,
Yeah,
first
yeah.
floor, second floor, these are European, and for British or Australian, ground floor, first floor. And then there is a basement, and in basement there are artifacts from America, from Mexico, right? But we can talk about
Hmm.
them later. But what is important, why I put it here, because that's the House of Cologne. That's the house which is now a museum where Christopher Columbus stayed for some
Oh, right,
months,
right, right.
right? And that's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he
I see.
stayed, actually. Yes.
Mm.
And it has beautiful items. But if you wish, Pete, we can make a separate for each one of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
museums. Yeah, because
yeah. Because it's clearly there's a lot to cover.
yes, and they have in Casa de Colon also. In Casa de Colon, they have also parts of the ship because he had three ships when he went there.
Yeah,
Santa Maria, Pinta, Nina. So in Santa Maria,
yeah.
where he was, heading the whole command. So his cabin is there. Right? They put it here, so you can see
Hmm.
it. It's beautiful. Okay, then we go to Mundo Aborigen. Mundo Aborigen is an open air museum. It is a reconstruction, whatever we have seen so far in Gran Canaria.
Hmm.
There are all excavated items, original materials, but now but still it's a reconstruction, but based on real materials. Also in Gran Canaria, you can see that here, Mundo Aborigen, and then they can go inside the made houses. You can see, they have statues, how these Aboriginal people or they live there. You see that?
Hmm.
So then there are different ones and how they live there. You see, oh, you see, do you remember that one in the
Yeah.
museum? Here, for example.
So this is the kind of context that these
Yes.
things were done in.
For example, how they, prepare the dead body.
Body, yeah.
Yes, bone. I don't know what they did. They didn't mummify here. On Tenerife, they did. So you can see it's a very interesting one because it's a huge area. You need to walk. They build it like a real big town, and you can go to different areas and go inside and see this. So they really did a great job, right? So some people
Yeah,
say,
well,
"Oh,
I
it's
think,
not
yeah.
original. It's not original." I said, "Guys, they have so many museums with original. They have caves, they have original things. But this is, I mean, come on."
You've got to make things that ordinary people can understand. When you see this laid out like this, and then you go and see the original items, you've got a better idea of what they're for and how they function in the society. It's all very well to be elitist and say, well, if you're not educated enough, then it's your problem. It's not. It's as people that are interested in history,
Yes.
it's our job to help other people understand it. It's you
Yeah.
know, it's
Yes.
not
Yes.
it's not something you should keep close to your chest and not tell anyone about. And
Absolutely.
dioramas and things like this are valuable teaching tools.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is, this one.
Yeah.
You see that here, for example, right? You see.
Yeah. See, the other thing I was going to say is that I mean, some people say, "Oh, it's just a tourist thing," but it's not if it's actually telling a story.
No, and they build the houses based on originals, right? So this is very interesting. They also the soldiers, so with the big, staff. We are going to see the
Yes.
original items as well later. And also
Yeah.
these constructions, they're all based, you saw, do you remember in Cueva
Yeah. Yeah. I
Pintada?
mean, it's
Yeah,
they were kind of like mortaring together rough
yeah.
cut stones. So it's not like drywalling, but it's kind of this mixing mortar and different shaped stones together to
Yes.
form functional structures.
Yes. Yeah. So this was this. They know that they had also these areas where they fought. They had like combat, individual combats
Hmm.
here. They challenged each other. You see that here.
So were they just arguing, or was it judicial duels like in
Judicial
Europe? Where
duels. This,
yeah, I thought it might be
yeah,
because this is very formalized.
yes. This is one of the warriors. I mean, they really
Mm.
look like that. You know, they know that. We are going to see that later on, right?
Mm.
These are what the Spanish faced when they came, right?
Yeah, well, again, it looks like well organized societies. They've got structures, physical structures, but they've also got societal structures.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
Things like this would explain why they were such good fighters.
yeah,
If part of the actual way they did things was to have judicial combat,
yes,
so therefore there's a interest in everybody learning how to use their weapons properly.
yes,
Because if you
yes.
you don't hire a lawyer, you go out and find it out in front of the community.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
sure it's a great idea, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that would like it.
No, exactly. See, this was this one.